Wonderful. Well, I want to thank everyone for being here today. My name is Megan, if you're new here, and a big shout out and some extra love to all those that are joining the live class today. Hello, ladies. So good to see you as always. Today's inspiration is just a really nice, thoughtful piece, just to channel some inner like positivity, just to know that we all are good enough, we're doing enough, and that we should just be proud of, who we are and where we're at in our life today. We all work really hard and we don't typically, give ourselves enough credit for, all the really great things we're doing, whether it's just, maintaining status quo during difficult times or just you did something really great and you hadn't celebrated that. So I just want you to know, I know that each of us have different things going on. So I just wanted to use today's class just for you to take a moment to pat yourself on the back and recognize how strong you are and recognize all those really wonderful things that you do. Okay. So what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be painting with acrylics. Sometimes in our classes we paint with watercolors. Sometimes we paint with acrylic paints. Today I'm going to be painting with acrylics. And I want you to choose the colors that inspire you. So I'll go through the supplies and then we'll just jump right in. But today's painting, for me, it's going to be a little whimsical. It can be anything you want it to be, which is going to be really quite nice. So for the supplies that I have basic acrylic craft paints. I have red, yellow, blue, and black and white. I also have green handy, and I can always mix a purple. So use whatever colors you wish. I will teach you how to mix colors throughout today's class. So I encourage you just to use whatever you have, and I'll teach you how to blend and mix new colors along the way, if you see fit. In addition to my paints, I am painting on an 11 by 14 canvas paper. This is acrylic paper. It's awesome. I love it so much. I love putting it in frames. I swap this in and out of my frames in my studio. When I get some really favorite inspirations and paintings, I swap my artwork out, which is really fun. And then I have a palette here that just I'm going to use to mix my colors. If you don't have a plastic palette at home, you could easily use a paper plate or a dinner plate. Acrylic paints will come off, so that's no problem. And then I have an array of brushes, just small, medium, and large. I could grab a bigger brush than this to do some of the background areas. So if you have a bigger brush than this half-inch style, you could always grab a bigger brush. I know Susan has bigger brushes. She was one of the first to always bring out a bigger brush. And Sharon too. They both have quite a selection. So what we're gonna do is, Susan, just so you know, my son's upstairs, so if I have to run off, I'm just gonna I have to run and pause, but you guys can keep going. Um, in addition to the brushes, I also have a pencil for a little bit of sketching. We're going to be doing layers and just kind of fun details. So this is just going to be a point where we can kind of get going. In addition to my pencil, I do have a cup of water to rinse my brushes. Let me see if I have a Sharpie handy to do a little bit of stronger details. So if anybody wants to start sketching, we're going to do the text on top after. So don't do the text now, but I want you to think about some of the background elements. So some of the background elements are, there's actually a big sun in the background, which is kind of fun. And then there is some flowers on top. So we could do this in a couple of ways. We could sketch one layer, paint it, and then do the next layer on top. That could be one way of doing it. So like we could do a sun in the background if you wanted to do a sun, and then we could paint the sun. And then once the sun is dried, we could draw the flowers on top. That's one way of doing it. If you wanted to draw the sun and the flowers now, you could. Looking at the inspiration, it may be easier just to do the sun first if you wanted to do that. So if you want to take a minute, we'll sketch in two layers. We'll sketch a background first, and then there's going to be another layer on top. So this will be the background itself. So I'm just going to do maybe like a fun sun, and this is just basic lines. So I'm just going to have some fun. I'm not going to overthink it. And you can position your sun wherever you want. It does not have to look exactly like the inspiration. So I'm just doing a circle, and I did it kind of above halfway. And then I'm just going to do some lines on where my sun rays are going to be, and I'll go further out. And I'll do a gentle erase on some of this after. And again, mine's just going to be, I want you to incorporate your personality. I want you to paint something that is going to energize you. It can be anything you want. And I may do a little bit of a lotus down here. I should probably get my phone and look up what a lotus looks like. I do well looking at images. So take a few minutes to sketch, ladies. A basic background, so a sun, and then I'll do flowers as a second layer, but we're gonna paint that sun layer first. Okay. So I'm just gonna grab my phone and I'm gonna do a lotus. So whatever you have that back layer is penciled in, you can go ahead and paint the whole background of the canvas. I'm just gonna look up, I'm inspired to add a lotus in the background. So I'm just gonna look up a lotus really quick, but take your time. I love lotus. I don't know why. I'm just like really drawn to them. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna do, and my lotus is gonna be underneath my sun. And then I'm gonna have a little bit of one here. And then with a lotus, you have to try to get it to be a little symmetrical. It's always a little tricky. That's not too bad. So I'm going to paint in all of this, and this may be my first layer. So for me, a lotus represents like beauty. There. So I just did like a little bit of a lotus. And I'm just going to paint this in. So for me, the background will probably be blue. And I have no idea what color my lotus is going to be yet, but I'll figure that out. And then my sun will be orange. Maybe my lotus will be orange. So maybe I'll do a blue background with a yellow sun and an orange lotus as an example. Now at home, I encourage you all, once you have your sketch done, just do a soft erase. I did a heavy pencil so you all could see it. I'm going to do a soft erase on all my lines so you guys can see what my composition is. I'm just going to do a quick soft erase so I don't have to do 1,000 coats of paint over this. So we're going to do 2 sketching layers. This is one. We're going to paint it. And then we are going to do a second sketching layer on top. Like there's 2 layers of designs. And the second layer is where we're going to hold space for any text. And in today's inspiration, the text is, I do enough, I have enough, and I am enough. If you don't want to use that text, you don't have to. If you have another saying or another mantra that you would like to use, you can look up another mantra or another saying that's meaningful for to you. But that is where we can bring our own ideas and our own personalities into this. But I'm just doing a soft erase and then I'm just going to start painting. I did it dark enough so you all could see it initially. And I'm brushing off all of that pencil as we go. But I want to thank you all for being here. I encourage you to get a cup of tea, turn on your favorite music, whatever it is that will allow you to settle into this process. It's really fun to sometimes just really channel different parts of yourself into these creative experiences. And I know that some of you have taken classes before, but you've done a lot of that. And I've taken 1 or 2 only. I really haven't taken too many like that. But it's really motivating and inspiring to see what comes out of it when you're asked to incorporate a message that you can reflect on, or you're asked to think about what elements you would bring in. Maybe it's flowers, maybe it's just a simple sun. These are, very inspiring things. And if you wish to kind of go deep into that process and think about that and bring something in of your own, You're welcome to. If not, you can always show up to these classes knowing it's okay just to follow along too. Sometimes we just need something to take our mind off of the day or a hard week. There we go. All right, I did a soft erase. I'm gonna mix some colors. So I'm gonna do a blue background with a light. I'm going to probably do like a medium blue background. I can hear my son upstairs. He's just fine. Amen. All right. There's a little bit of blue right there. That was a little messy. It's all right. And then I'm going to do a yellow sun. I might do like a yellowy orange sun. So one of the things about these classes is always take the time to mix the colors that you like. You don't have to use the yellow out of the jar, right? If you want to make your yellow a little bit more orangey or have a different shade, mix it with another color. So I may get this sun in first and then paint the blue around it. So I'm going to bring in a little bit of red to my yellow just to give it a little bit of a little bit more of a warm touch. Even if it's a little orangey, that's okay. And then I'm just going to paint the whole thing. So it's going to be very simple in color. I'm just going to kind of go for it. So you can outline. You can have a little bit of swirl if you want to make it a little psychedelic, or you can just have it be really flat colors. That's totally fine too. This picture, this inspiration in general is very simple, solid shapes. Very simple, solid shapes. And this sun is a little orangey, and that's okay. I can always bring in a little bit of yellow too. So we've all done these classes enough, and if you're new, you can always bring in more colors. You can also always change the color of something if you don't like it or not. So even though this is a little orangey, I can always change this and tweak the color of this if I want to. So I'm just doing some round circular brush strokes. I'm just doing some round circular brush strokes. And then I'm just gonna do these sunbeams. And you can make, I'm gonna do these pretty big, just like very fun. Hi, Asher. My son, Asher, my daddy just got home. Hi. Hey, buddy. Oh, they can't see you, but you can say hi. Hi, did you have fun? Awesome. Talk to you in a little bit. Um, they went skiing today. So I'm just doing really fun sun lines. And it's very simple looking, and that's okay. All right. And I can make these a little thicker if I wanted to. All right, so I'm going to just do these like this, and I'm just going to let it dry. Again, I'm being pretty whimsical. I can always change the size of these too, so that's totally fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let the sun dry, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to paint my lotus. And I'm just going to do the outlines on the lotus first. And if anybody's doing flowers, I'm going to do more flowers. I'm going to do flowers as my secondary layer. I'm going to grab a smaller brush for my lotus. I'm just going to let the orange dry because I'm going to do blue around it. But you can paint your background any way that you want. I want you to be sure to fill in the entire background. You can use simple colors. And this is kind of fun. I'm harnessing the bright and the beauty and the brilliance of the sun, and it's trickling down to my lotus. And you can always switch brushes if you have any detailed areas like a lotus or another detail on this layer. You can always switch to a smaller brush if you need to do any outlining like I am. That's totally fine. And then I'm going to figure out what color I want to paint inside of my lotus. Let's see here. Maybe I'll just do, and I can leave a little bit of white in my lotus if I wanted to. I want to be able to see some of these details. So maybe I leave a little bit of white in areas to see the details. And again, you can always start with one color and change it up. Can always make my lotus a little bit lighter if I want to make it a little lighter. Anything really goes. But I'm just filling in this entire layer. So by the end of this layer, everything is going to be colored in. I'm not going to see any white. So if you're not doing a secondary object that like I'm doing, you can easily just paint in that whole background blue if you wish. I'm going to do the whole background blue as well. I'm just filling in my lotus. And I can do more detail work on my lotus. I'm going to keep this pretty straightforward. And I'm going to let it dry and I can come back to it. You know, we could spend a lot of time doing layers and details here, but there's already going to be enough layers. So I'm just doing this as one little piece here. So I'm going to
Megan,
do,
this is Janice. Quick question.
hey,
Um, I'm not doing a lotus, but I want to do some of the flowers, like the orange ones you have. Do I do them now, or am I waiting on those?
I would do the blue. Well, so if you wanted to do them now, you could, Janice. That's totally fine. There's always 1,000 ways to approach art. It would save you paint. So if anybody wants to do those now and you haven't done the blue background, you can do them now. So if you want to sketch them, Janice, you can sketch them. I wanted
Okay,
the sun to go down first. So if
I've
your
got my
sun is
son.
starting to dry, because your
Okay,
flowers are going to overlap some of your sun, right?
okay, perfect.
So totally up to you. You can sketch right on top of your sun if your sun is dry and paint them in. I just wanted to make sure that we get the blue background in too. So any way you want to approach that is totally fine. Good question. So I would say you can sketch them in now or wait after the blue. You will use less paint if you want to do them now. But my lotus is really simple. It's painted in quite simply. I'm gonna let that dry and I'm going to start mixing the blue color for my background. And I'm going to do like a mid-tone blue. So I'm going to add a little bit of white to my royal blue color just to lighten it just a touch. I want it to be still a little bit vibrant. So I'm trying to try to manage a nice blue hue still. And I'm going to be sure to clean my brush really well. And if my sun ends up being, too light or too dark, I can always change the color of my sun. It's no problem. So right now it's orange. I might lighten it up a little bit. I'm not too worried about it. This is just more of one of those experiences just to kind of go with the flow, see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint my background in blue. And I should be using a bigger brush. This might take me a little while, but I'm going to kind of stay away from the orange. I'm going to leave a little bit of white gap just to see what happens with the orange. And I'm using a medium kind of 1/2 inch tip brush. And I'm going to paint the background. So I'm going to go around my sun. And a little bit of extra white. And this is where things are really going to start to pop and jump out, which is really fun. I am going to paint the background, and then I'm going to do the other layer on top. Um, if I wanted to hold space and do that now, I could, but I'm just going to do it in a full layer. But Janice, if you want to do it the other way, that's totally fine. All good. All right. For me, it's about I want to like incorporate like the entire. I want to like see what it's like painted first, and like I want to do more placement um, with it on there. So I'm just going to grab a little bit more paint and I'm just dancing around the sun rays. And I can always come in and get a little tighter to the sun rays. Again, these sun rays are very, fourth grader like, and that's okay. Sometimes it's really fun just to do things a little bit different. Very simple design today. But it's about things that are inspiring and you can add different details in different places. So Take a few minutes, enjoy the process of the brush just gliding across your canvas. So satisfying to watch that thick, beautiful blue paint just spread out. And if anyone's doing like drawing that second layer of detail, you could do that if you wanted to. I'm going to do the blue background first. I might even do a little bit of an ombre. I might make a little bit of a lighter blue down here and do a little bit of a blend. Wasn't planning on that. That was just a happy little Bob Ross idea. So this is the power of just creativity, of just having a plan, not having a plan, of, what you want to do and why. Look at this. I'm just bringing in a little bit of like an ombre of a lighter blue, kind of jumping in and tagging in to this other blue. So that's just an idea I had. If I wanted to get in with a smaller brush, I could. I could always do that after too. But as long as you're using a brush, if anybody did a secondary object like me, I did this lotus. I'm just going around the lotus. If I want to add in more of that lighter color, I can. So it's an interesting process just to kind of paint from within. And most people aren't used to, I mean, sometimes you can just let go and be a part of the process, but I love how this is turning out to be something that, I really enjoy. There's certain things that can uplift each of us, and sometimes we know what that is, and sometimes we don't. And it's really fun to include those things within art sometimes because it can allow us to get it on paper and to appreciate it more. So I'm just using a little bit of this blue paint. If it's not quite the right shade, guess what? I'm not too worried about that right now. I can always come in and play with and adding in a secondary background color and playing with that mix. That's no big deal. We all know that. We all know we can paint on top of something, right? That's one thing we talk about a lot in these classes is you can paint over your background color if you want to change your background color. That's no big deal. If you want to add a texture like these little, left, right little cross hatches, you can have basic paint brush strokes. You can have crisscross brush strokes. You could do swirls. This is your artwork. So any way you want to fill in this background, you do you. So you can see how the sun is really starting to jump out. I'm mixing some more of this light blue paint as I go. And I'm staying on either side of my sun. And we do want this to dry before we do our secondary sketch, unless you're doing your secondary sketch now, which is totally fine. But I'm not going to add any more of my layers of flowers until this is dry. Now, typically acrylic dries pretty quickly, but I'm going to try to be conscious as an artist today to not make this too thick of paint. And then it will dry in the next 5-10 minutes or so, as long as it's not too thick of paint. And I can always go back again or in around these sun rays to make it a little closer with a smaller brush. I can always do that after. So again, you can do texture. You can kind of go left, right, left, right. You can add some texture. Anything goes. Texture is kind of fun. All right, so I'm like almost done the background. I have some white gaps. Again, I'm not too worried about that right now. If anybody's doing any secondary sketching now, once you're done that, I would paint the background around your elements. So do this blue background or whatever background color you choose. And again, I'm just using some nice smooth brush strokes. I'm going all the way off the edge of the canvas. If you wanted to do multiple colors in your background, like blues and light blues, to add in a little bit of extra fiery burst, you can. I'm keeping it simple because I'm going to be putting text and things on top of this. I don't want it to be too busy in the background. This is the background of the entire painting. It's okay if it's light or dark. We're going to be using different techniques to make sure our flowers and our letters all stand out. We'll be doing some black outlining, which is going to be really pretty. But it's important that we get the background painted first. So I'm just going to switch to a smaller brush. I went around everything with that solid color. I'm just going to do a little touch up just fairly quickly around the sun and the sun rays. Just a little bit of a quick roundabout here. And again, I have just a really simple background. I may lighten my sun up a touch. I haven't decided yet. But I'm doing just some nice blue outlining around my sun. And I want to get this done now. So everyone's going to be at different places and different spots in our class today. Just go with the flow, do what feels right based on what step you're on. But our goal is to paint the entire background. And if you decided to draw in that secondary layer, that's fine. Draw that in and then paint your background. And if anyone's doing my approach today, is I did the background first, and then I'm going to draw my secondary layer on top of this. And then we always give things a couple minutes to dry. So just take a couple deep breaths. I want to thank you all so much for being here. I will be posting the next month's schedule shortly. If anyone has certain things you're inspired to paint, please drop those either in the YouTube video, or you're welcome to drop it in our Patreon community if you're interested in painting anything particular in the upcoming month. Please let us know. I'm always welcome, always open to hearing ideas on what you might be interested in painting. Um, yeah, so I'm just doing a little bit of outlining here, a little bit of cleanup, and this is not perfect. I am just doing just some really gentle outlining just to get the background filled in. You can see it's just quite simple structure today. My lines are not perfectly straight. It's okay. I didn't want them to be. I wasn't going for a perfect sun shape today, because this is just one of the layers that we're going to be doing. I really love how in the inspiration they have some light pink in the sun. I might add a little bit of pink and light pink into the sun. Wouldn't that be beautiful? But I also want you to think about the colors you're using today. Think about what color palette you may want to use for your inspiration for your painting. Now, in the inspiration itself that I have here next to me, there's a pink and orange sun, and then there's lots of green leaves and petals, and there's lots of colored flowers that are around it. So you can pick and choose, what's important to you. All right. I'm almost done going around my sun. Sorry, this is taking just a minute. Sometimes we don't rush the process. I'm just doing this now so I don't have to do it after. And if you want to do this step after, you can too. That's no problem. With art, everybody does things a little bit differently, and I just want to acknowledge that's okay. There's some basic principles of doing certain things, one way or another, and that's fine. But your approach on how you start and where you start and how you end is it's up to each person. And you guys have probably heard me say this before, but like my husband and I, the way we get to point A to point B, we both take different roads, but we end up meeting in the same spot. Like we think about things totally differently. Our brains function so differently. And it's just you learn that about one another. And whether it's my husband and I, or if it's about recognizing different styles and patterns with different artists, I always just like talking about it because it's very normal, and it just makes you feel more comfortable with who you are and your thought process and your approach to things. That it's not wrong if you do something different than someone else. So some of you may know that, and that may be, I don't even have to say it, but I just like reinstating it because it just takes a little bit of the ease out of how we do things in general, especially with our art classes. I'm not going to go in around this lotus too much, but it's going to give me an opportunity for some of this to dry here. Now I do have some wet areas. I had a little too much water. I'm going to grab a paper towel and just a little too wet, and I need that to dry to do some of my next layers. So if anybody ever needs to get a hair dryer, if you're on like, a time schedule and need things to dry a little more quickly, you can always get a hair dryer. That's fine too. But take your time, enjoy the process. Again, my lotus is painted really quite simply. I am inspired to do more to it, but I'm not going to do any more right now. I'm just going to let it dry. Blue and orange are complementary colors. And I want you to think about what other colors you may want to bring in to your picture today. Maybe what other elements you're inspired and including. So I will do flowers and I will do the green leaves. Those are the other elements that I will be including on my artwork today. So you can see the difference of doing the outlines on one side of the lotus versus the other. Just makes those lines look a little bit more crisp. It eliminates some of that extra white. And then I'm just using a small brush and I'm just going nice and slowly. This brush actually is pretty thick. I'm just trying to be really careful with the tip of it. There we go. And it's not perfect and it's okay. It doesn't have to be. So before I do any sketching, I do want some of this to dry. So I do have some wet spots. So I am just gonna find a paper towel really quick and maybe I could do some blotting, but everybody take your time. Again, very basic. And if I wanted to change my colors, I could. It's not too late. And this will just take another minute to dry or so, and I can think about the composition. Now, if you are doing text inside, which I am, I want to make sure I leave room in the middle of the picture to incorporate that. So, and I do need to make a decision now if I want to lighten, um, if I want to lighten the sun or not. So for me, I'm going to be doing black text, but I think what I'm going to do is I'll do black text with a white outline around it so it stands out against the sun color. I like the sun color and I like the blue. So I'm just going to I'll do my black text at the very end, but I'm going to do a white outline around it so it stands out even more, if that makes sense. Um, and I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to write. I might write, I do enough, I am enough. We can research other mantras. If anyone has any other mantra ideas, feel free to share that with us, but it can be anything you want it to be. I may grab, let me see, this is pretty wet right here. I'm going to blot mine a little bit. Yeah, it's not too bad. I'm pretty close. I have a little bit of wetness. My brush was a little wet, ladies, so It's not too bad. So you can, if you already sketched those secondary layers, just paint everything around them. You can start, if you did those other layers, you can paint those layers. That's totally fine. I'm going to sketch my secondary layers in a moment. You can use a pencil or you can use a Sharpie. I'll probably use a Sharpie, ladies, so you can see mine. I may even use a Sharpie here to outline my lotus. In some areas. For me, it's important to see that lotus. So I'm just going to outline my lotus here, here, here. I have this line here and here. So you're welcome at any point in these classes. You can use a Sharpie if you need to. So see how those lines are really just standing out a little bit more? That's totally fine. So for me, that's helpful to see that. And it'll also help me visualize what are the other elements I may want to be bringing in. And I love the illustrative side of this. Okay. So then I can figure out, well, what are the other elements that I want to be bringing in? So when this is dry enough, you can figure out some of those elements. So I'm going to bring in another flower here. And this flower is going to have the petals hanging down. So I'm just going to do an oval that's a little tilted right there. And I'm just going to do some petals that are hanging down. It's a little wet right there. So that's just kind of a fun flower. And then I'm just going to do a stem, and this is going to be a little more rounded here. And I'll do a stem that comes straight down. So this is the secondary layer. And I can fix some of these petals to make them look a little bit better. That's no big deal. I'm doing lots of lines. It's okay. I'm going to paint over some of those. And then this petal is going to come over the sun right there. There we go. So I'm just going to let that dry. That's a fun flower. I'm going to do another one up here. It's going to be another oval. And this one's going to be some rounded petals. So use a pencil. Don't use a Sharpie like me. I'm just using a Sharpie so you can see my lines. And then there's a fun little swirly thing right here. I'm going to add one of those. Oh God, my marker's not happy. Let me grab my pencil. So I'm just adding a couple flowers in. There's a little bit of a curling thing here. This is fun. It's like a fiddlehead situation. I like that. So I'm going to add 1, 2, 3. I'm actually going to add another one right here. 1, 2. So this is where I just want you to be fun and creative and whimsical on the things you might want to add. So I added a little whimsical curly Q thing there. I'm gonna add another one of those down here. That was fun. It's okay to paint non-serious things. And I'm doing a line where I'm kind of going back on itself. So it's like it's a thicker line. And I'll fill this all in after. So there's one right there. There's one over there. So I have it matching visually. And then I might do another one coming in up here because why not? Now, if you do something you like, you can always erase it because I'm using pencil now. So there's that. So I want you to think of one or two or even maybe three elements you want to bring in. So I brought in some two flowers. I like those. And I did some of these curly cues. I don't want to do anything else too big. So I may do some of these more lighter like flowers or these lighter like petals. So maybe it's like a little bit of a curved branch. And I have some of these just little feathered like petals and leaves that are just coming in, like little teardrop leaves. So I did one of these situations here. Maybe I'll have just one of those come in here. And I'm going to have my lotus be in the foreground, but I can tuck in some of these little, these might be pink. So you can see I'm just tucking in little elements here and there. Your stems can have a few leaves. This one needs a stem. I'm just going to have this go off the page because I can. But give your flower a stem. This flower is going to come on top of the sun there. So I did a little sketching. And then I could just start painting this in if I wanted to. So just do a little bit of sketching. This is just really fun, but loose and fancy free. And I'm leaving room in the middle up here for my text. So I left room right here for my text at the top, which is really fun. I may want to add in like another one of these little flower things up here just to have a little bit of balance. So kind of lean back in your chair and say, do I need to add anything else, big or small? Try adding some small elements too, like little flowers maybe. I could always do that after too. So just think about some of those elements and then you can even sketch a few and just start painting. So that's okay. And now we're all likely sketching things, right? And you're probably thinking about, well, Megan, what the heck colors do I use now, right? So um, I did some dark, I'm gonna call these fairly dark colors. So if I wanted to bring in some lighter colors, I could. So I have pinks and purples and reds that I could bring in. Um, so what I'm gonna do is I am and greens for the stems, right? So I am going to do, let's see here. I might do pink on my flowers, pink petals for these flowers. So let me make a pink. So think of a color that you don't have that you could bring in. That's one really easy way of figuring out what color to use. So I'm going to do pink flower petals here. Now, since I'm painting on top of blue, may take a couple extra coats. That's okay. I'm going to do black outlines on everything, ladies, so everything stands out. It's going to be really cool. So I'm just gonna just do some nice heavy coated, I don't have any water on my brush, heavy coated paint brush strokes using a brush of my choice. But I want to leave a little bit of a break or a little bit of padding, a little bit of a space between each petal, just so I know where the petal breaks are. You could do that if you wanted to visually. You can play with the shape of your petals. But I'll need a couple coats on these and that's okay. But this is just the joy of painting, just watching things evolve. And doing second coats is very natural. I might do a little bit of red for the middle of these. And if I don't like this color, I can always change it, but I can at least show you what it's like. So this flower will have a red center. Again, I can always change this color if I wanted to, but at least I can get a paint coat on, right? Getting a paint coat on and letting it dry is good. And that black outlining we're going to do is going to be really beautiful. Finding a brush that works for you is also a really important thing. Again, if you're doing flower petals, everybody's picking and choosing what elements, are inspiring to them. But this is a little early spring. Janice is embracing her 50s today in Chicago. This is like she's gonna have flowers before all of us. We know that though, don't we? We have Vermont and New Hampshire here. We don't have flowers for quite a while. But Janice will see them, and we're gonna all celebrate through Janice and her early flowers. And we really do. I mean that. I have a sister who lived in Virginia, and she always had spring before us. And we're like, what do you mean, April? And you have flowers outside, or like, whatever. It probably wasn't March, but you know what I'm saying. And I was just like, it was always so inspiring to think that people who had gone through, quote unquote winter, and I know that you have that there for sure. All right. So there's just one flower painted. It's multifaceted. If I ever want to change the shape, if I don't like the way a leaf looks, ladies, guess what I can do? I can use blue, my background color, to reshape any of these pesky leaves. Isn't that neat? So if I don't like the way this leaf looks right here, I can paint over it. Like I'm not worried about it. So I'm using
Megan,
a
can you
full,
explain how you got that color for your petals? I love that color.
yeah, it's just red and white.
Okay.
Yeah, so look, I need to make more. It's just red and it's bubblegum pink and a little bit of white. And this shade's a little darker, but it's okay. Yeah, it's very bright and vibrant. It's kind of warm. So red and white. And the more, the less white you bring in, the more red tones it will hold. The more white you bring in, the more pastel-y that pink will look. But good question. Thank you for asking. I usually hold this and I try to mix on screen so people can see me. All right, so I'm doing a basic coat for all these flowers and all these elements. That is what I'm doing now. So I did my sketching and I should probably be using a smaller brush, but I'm going to be really careful. Use the smallest brushes you need just to kind of stay in the lines of your sketching. But do a basic coat and move on and then come back and do another coat. So for me, I have lots of fun things to paint on here. So those flowers, you can tell they're not done. That's totally fine, but I'm going to let them dry. You can see the vision is starting to come together. I'm going to make a green, ladies. Um, and to make a green is blue and yellow. It's really quite a bit of yellow and then a little bit of blue. But my trick is for you is this. If you want to add a little bit of white to your green, it will help cover up that background color. So add a little bit of white to your green. It will help cover up the blue and it'll help with your layering. And I can always change the color green on top if I want, but this is a good first coat of green. And these are thick, these are like thick petals. So I'm not going to be, I have Sharpies here. I'm not going to be too crazy. Um, I'm going to do all the petals all the same color for right now, and then I could do secondary colors after. I'm just getting base coats on. So there's one petal there. And again, I'm going to do black outlining on everything. It makes it a little more time consuming, but it's going to look really cool when it's done. And if you don't want to do black outlining, you don't have to. It's just kind of a fun component of today's class for your consideration. So there's another little bit of green up there. I may mix a little bit of a bluish green as just a secondary color. And I might actually even use a little bit more white because I have these green swirly gigs. They're kind of like fiddleheads. I'm actually going to grab a smaller brush. And I'm going to paint those in too. So again, base colors on all your objects, and then we can go in and make them look a little more fancy. And I do think I want those to stand out a little bit more. So my options are is I'm just going to make it a little lighter. So I'm going to add a little bit more white. So I'm going to put my brush down carefully without it rolling and knocking into something. I'm going to put a little more white on my plate to lighten this green as I drop my paint cap. Okay. Boy. So I'm going to take a little bit of the white and I'm going to mix it with a little bit of this green just to soften it just a touch. That lighter green is going to stand out a little bit more. I'm going to let that part dry, but I'll do it down here. And I can still make it lighter if I need to. And if you use any pencil, you can see how that stood out a little bit more down there. If you use pencil, you can erase the pencil after. If you don't use it, if you go outside of your lines, once the paint dries, you can easily erase your pencil. So there's a little bit of the swirly gig there. That's fun. And then I have another one up here. And I can always make these swirls or these fiddleheads. They're not really good fiddleheads, but you know what I'm saying. I can make them a little bit lighter if I want to in a second coat. This is just a good first coat to get them out and down. So you can see how bright and alive this is really coming to be. It's really fun and inspiring. And this is where, I'm painting from my heart today, right? Um, I'm going to do a little bit even of a lighter color here for these little petaled ones. Where are these? So you can see I'm using darker colors and I'm using lighter colors. I'm using a little this and a little that, but I'm still using the greens. I'm using a light green. I'm using a darker green just to fill in some of these details along the way here. Now I'm going to outline some of these little petals just to figure out what color I want them to be. I don't know what color I want these to be yet. So you're going to have many points during today's class where you're going to reflect on what colors you may want to use and where. And I'm just going to outline these. I have no idea. I need to do some reflection on what colors I want to use for these little flowers. Well, they're like little petals. And I'm just doing them in a light color for right now, and I'm going to go in and fill them in once I have figured out what I want to do with them. So there's a lot of reflection that you can do during this process. Just knowing you're going to go back and you're going to make lots of refinements and updates. It's okay to start simply and then go back in and add more details. And we do that in nearly all these classes, but this example is just a really good one for that. You may say, I want to add something here or there. And I'm so excited to add in some of the black outlining too. So I'm thinking of what colors I could use. I don't know. I might try like a little bit of red. I'm not sure. I don't really know the right solution, but I've red on the center of these flowers. So let me just put in a little bit of red and see if red is going to be the name of the game for these little flowers, these little leaves. Maybe. Sometimes if we just don't know, we can just start, or you could wait and think about it. That's always fine too. But it's a cute little ideas. I can tuck in little tiny red ones like along the way, like little bits of additional growth. That's kind of fun. So that has evolved into its own idea. So you all are going to be incorporating your own design details. I'm just incorporating a little bit of extra growth of these red petals on the side of the stem. I could even tuck in like little white flowers if I wanted to. But this color matches the center of the of these this echinacea per se, these daisy style flowers. So I brought in the red to tie that in there. So that was an intentional choice of color because I already used the color, but I didn't really use it in a ton of different areas. And if I don't like this, I can always paint over it, but I'm starting somewhere. And I might tuck in little white flowers on this plant as well. This is a very exotic plant. And I may change the stem, so it doesn't matter. It's all good. But you're going to bounce around. So I did some of these basic layers. Things are starting to come to life. Um, I could go back to my pink flowers and just do another coat. These need another coat of paint. So tonight's class is a little time consuming, but we're doing great on time. And I want you to work at your own pace. If you want to reshape any of your flowers or your flower petals, you could do that at any time. I'm just doing very simple colors on these flower petals right now. I haven't done any crazy depth techniques. I'm just keeping this very simple. I may knock out some of the blue over here on this one. I haven't decided yet. But the black outlining is going to be really beautiful. Once you have elements fully painted, that's when we do the black outlining. So many of us are not even close to being there yet, which is fine. I'm just talking through that part of the process. So it's really going to highlight the work you've done. And if you don't want to do the black outlining, you don't have to. You could do it with a Sharpie after everything's dry. You could do it with paint. It is totally up to you. So I did a second coat on those pink flowers. As you're filling in your green stems, you're welcome to mix, a little bit of blue and a little bit of green together to, add in a little bit of depth and dimension to your stems and your flowers. You can add a little bit of highlighting on one edge of your flower if you wanted to. You could just do a little bit of a darker color. We are going to be doing the dark outlining around everything, so it will make things pop quite a bit. So I had a little bit of darker green to those stems. Um, my lotus is pretty straightforward. I might just keep my lotus really simple and just leave it like that. I think I'm going to make my green fiddlehead swirly things a little lighter. I'm inspired to have those stand out on the lighter avenue. So look at your painting. Is there anything that's too dark that you may want to add a little bit more lightness, add a little bit more brightness outside of any yellows? Do you want to add any white elements, right? Maybe you want to add a white element. I'm not sure. I might add some white little flowers as a touch at the very end. But for these little swirly gigs, I'm going to make them a little bit lighter. Because I'm going to outline them in black and they're going to stand out even more. So for me, I was inspired to make those a little lighter. They're just standing out just a touch. I have room in the middle for my words. I may make these vine things with the red. I might make those a little darker. Again, it's okay to change your mind. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna do a little bit of a dark line on top, and that's just fine. And then that's red right there. And I'm probably going to tuck in little white flowers on these little red vine things just to be different. So I'm going to do a little bit of second coat with the red. It just adds a little bit of vibrancy, and playful is such a nice way to put it. Yeah, very playful. It's kind of liberating just to kind of do something. It's fun to paint different things. And it gets to a point where it can be a different type of therapy to paint different things. And some of you either experienced that or you haven't. And it can be uncomfortable and you can be like, oh, I'm not doing it right. But sometimes like it's okay to not do things the right way or not know what's going to happen. It's really okay. And that adds so much more certainty into other areas of our life where there's so much uncertainty, just knowing it's going to be okay. I'll get through it, I'll figure it out. When you do really, risk-free exercises like this, just be like, okay, well, I didn't know what I was doing in that art class, so I can get through this. Megan just said to keep going with her optimism, you guys. So it's interesting on how these creative classes can give you a confidence boost in so many other areas of your life. And some of you may have experienced that before, and some of you may not have. But I'm making adding a little more contrast to this red flowering vine. I'm going to add a little bit of some white flowers to this just to make it pop a little bit more. So that's kind of fun. I may want to make my curly cues a tiny touch lighter. If anybody wants to play with any of the outlining, you can do any outlining again with a Sharpie, an acrylic marker, a micron pen, but wait for the acrylic to dry first, okay? Um, if you don't want to do that yet, we can do a sketching for our text as well. And I'm gonna do a little bit lighter of a green here, but I'm gonna consider what I want my mantra or what I want my text to be. I do like the I do enough, I am enough. There's another quote I have over on another desk here in my studio. It was about growing. What is it? Like I'm always growing or something. It's a really cute saying. I can't see it right now. I have a bunch of stuff over there, but oh, hang on. I might be able to see it. Hold on, let me go read it. One second. Oh, it says, we are learning, we are growing. So you could always change that to I am learning, I am growing, or something like that. That's another one to consider. But I want you to get the basic colors down for each of these elements, and then we'll do sketching with for our words with our pencil. But again, I made these a little lighter. I just wanted these to stand out just a little bit. So I like that they're a little lighter. It's just for me, it's just a touch that I wanted. I'm so excited to see what you all came up with because everybody's are going to look very different. Very, very different. Okay, I think I'm going to I'm just going to let this dry for a minute. I have some wet areas and I'm just going to, I think I'm going to say, I think I'm going to write, I do enough, I am enough. So I'm gonna do basic penmanship. I write in cursive, you guys, so this is gonna be so hard for me to not write in cursive right now. I'm gonna do my best. So I do enough. So I am is gonna be on one line, enough. So I need 4 lines. So I need to think about placement. So I think I'm gonna do it here. So I'm gonna do little dots. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I did 4 dots so I can try to figure out the spacing. If anybody wants to do like a line we could do this way too. Let me see if I can find my ruler. You want to give yourself a guideline for positioning. We haven't done this before in these classes. Let me find a straight edge really quick. Here, I have a checkbook. Perfect. Who wants one of my checks? Um, I have a checkbook here. So I did 4 dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, because I have 4 lines of text, and I'm just gonna do a really soft straight line. So my text goes straight. And I can erase this after. This is just a guideline for my text to be sort of straight. Imagine that. So, and I'm gonna write my text in the center of this line. And I'm gonna erase, and this is on dry acrylic. This is all dry right here. It's in the middle of my sun. And then since I have guidelines here, can you guys see? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do I do enough. I am enough. So I do enough. I have or I am enough here. So I'm going to just write it. I'm going to try to write it simply. I do. It also allows us to position, comma, I am enough. So my 2 enoughs look totally different. So that's why I use pencil, because I have to erase one of them and fix one of them. So I'm doing basic sketching. I'm going to erase the bottom one. I tried to write really softly. Pencil will erase from dried acrylic. Really good to know. I'm going to erase this. It's not perfect. If I have to paint over some of this, I will. I probably should have write softly as you can if you're doing this with me. Sorry, I'm wiggling this. Okay, I'm gonna try this again. Okay, that's good enough. But take a few minutes to get your text in. And I'm gonna paint it with black. I'm gonna get a clean brush. I'm gonna see if this brush works. And then I am gonna outline this with white after. So this brush is way too big. Grab a small brush if you can. Way too big. All right, let's try this again.
Get down right now. Down.
Can you guys hear my husband upstairs? So funny. I do. And my letters are getting a little bigger. God help me. It's gonna happen, you guys. It's gonna happen. At least we have a guide. A guide here. And we haven't really done anything like this, just taking our time. It's like a little personalized. And again, I never write non-cursives. This is like a pure challenge to me right now. To go nice and slow. So I wrote, I do enough and I am enough. And I'm going to put a period, like it's a statement there. This brush is not small enough for outlining. Let me see if I have an even smaller one. We all know I do. I just have to find one. Okay, this one's pretty good. I'm gonna demonstrate as things are drying. I'm gonna demonstrate a little bit of the outlining. So keep doing what you're doing. I'm gonna erase any extra pencil lines after the text dries. I'm gonna do some of the flower. Let's see. I'll do my lotus since it's pretty much outlined already. If you have a small black brush or small brush, um, you can do outlining with a paintbrush. So I just want you to go at your own pace here. If anyone has any questions, if you need anything, please let me know. I am just going to do, this is a golden, and you can add additional details. You all know, like, I love doing little dotting. If I want to add any other little flowers, I can do that at any time. But I'm going to try to go nice and slow with some of this outlining. It's going to look really neat on the flowers. Some of my flowers are the the pink and red ones, they're still kind of wet. This one's more dry up here. I'll do that one first. But I love the golden lotus. I'll probably add some magic, some like tiny little, I'll probably add a little bit of white dotting. My son is so funny. Mommy, mommy. You guys hear him? My son Lucian, the little one. Mommy, mommy. He's so talkative, you guys. Oh my gosh. Does not stop talking. He's like a little parrot. But I might do some white dotting to make it look a little whimsical. I'm not sure. But this is for you. And I hope you're enjoying the process. It is so much fun just to kind of paint from within. It is hard to do. I'm not going to deny that. It is hard. We had a little bit of an inspiration, right? I'm sure that was a blessing for some of you here. Some of you may be religious and you may want to put a cross, or you may have certain words you may want to add. That is totally fine. This class is for you any way you want to interpret it. All my classes are very inclusive. So we are open, obviously, to anyone who, however you show up, we accept you. All right, I'm going to do this flower up here just to show you. I'm going to do a full outline around the center. And I'm using black paint today. I don't always do this in my classes. You all know that. But I found a tip of a brush that works. And I'm getting, some thickness here and there. That's okay. But I'm just going to show you what it looks like so you can see. Now, the inspiration and the sun in the background is not outlined. If you wanted to outline it, you could. Totally up to you. I'm not going to outline my sun. I'm going to outline that second drawn layer, which are the flowers. So there's that outlined. And then the stems are also outlined. So it's your choice if you want to outline today. I'm going to show you what it looks like, and that will allow you to make a decision if you want to outline or not. That's why I'm doing this right now. I'm outlining both sides of the stem. So it's very playful. You don't have to outline both sides of the stem. This smaller stem, I'm just going to do outline one side just to see what it looks like, right? Art is all about your choices. I think I'm going to add some tiny white flowers to, again, some of these red leaves, which look more of like a red pink leaf now. I'm going to add tiny white flowers somewhere on here once this all dries. So you're going to have ideas. Just lean back in your chair and reflect on your work. Let's see. I am going to do an outline on this little green buddy right here. You can decide if you want to do both sides or just one. It depends on how small the tip of your brush is. Let me try adding a little bit of water to my black to see if that helps. Adding a little bit of water to the tip of your brush might help you with a little bit more fine of a tip. Yeah, try adding a little bit of water. That will help you glide and drag a little more smoothly. Again, if you don't like this outlining, you don't have to do it. I'm here just to show you. Let's see. I'll do these ones over here. And I think I am gonna do, maybe I'll do a little bit of a white drop shadow behind my text. Maybe I won't outline my entire text, but I might do a little bit of a drop shadow. And I'm outlining just little areas. So I just want some of these elements just to stand out a little bit. But I love this. I love, you can see it's really coming together with all of the black outlining. Again, a lot of these classes is just trusting the process. And it's really fun to watch that happen. And again, adding a little bit of water with your black for outlining will help tremendously. Find a nice fine point. Again, if you want to use a different medium or a pen, you're welcome to do that. A little bit of water helps with the gliding. And there's a couple other flower details I'll show you as we continue. I'm just going to let these basic layers dry. I think I'm gonna I'll paint blue over this little petal right here. I like the way that flower looks like that, so I'm just gonna leave it, but I am gonna outline this stem. And again, a little water and a little black will really ease your brush strokes. And some of these layers may overlap one another. So I'm gonna go gently on the back of this green. So I encourage you to just to lean back and reflect on the details that mean the most to you. Make any refinements. If you're doing outlining, great. If you're not, that's no problem. There's no rush to. Everyone paints at different speeds. I'm using my pinky to stabilize my hand. And again, I'm just outlining these little red leaves. A little black, a little bit of water. If you didn't want to use black, you could always use like purple or something to outline these elements. I'm just using black for the contrast. I wasn't overthinking it, so it's just that's just what I chose. I'm just doing a little bit of black detail there. And I look around and say, is there anything else I missed that I need to do the outline for? So let's see, I did everything over here. I have one more little swirly gig over here to do. And I will erase my pencil lines from my text because that text is almost dry. I have a little bit of blue I need to touch up on this flower. I'm going to make that petal disappear because I don't like it. So I'm just going to clean my brush really good, wipe off the water, and I'm going to grab a little bit of this blue. This is my eraser. And watch how easy it is to paint over something. Presto changeo, those two leaves are gone. So if you have any leaves or if there's anything you need to reshape, just look at that surrounding background color. Just paint over it. Find that color and paint right over it. And I'm going to let that dry. Now it looks pretty unfinished around my sun. So what I'll likely do is I can come in with my small blue paintbrush and I can really touch up the edges around the interior of my sun. That's a really easy thing to do. If anybody has any cleanup work to do, that's something I noticed. You're going to notice different things about your own. And this inspiration, you could do a lot with it. And you could spend hours just adding fun little details. So this could be a fun therapeutic piece if you guys want to pick this back up again someday and do a little bit more work to it. You could add like any like you add little Zentangles like inside of the sun maybe or kind of fun details in the blue area. There's a lot of different things you could do. I'm also going to do some white outlining. I'm just giving the black, it's almost dry. So I'm just doing a little bit of touch-up work in some other areas. But in 2 minutes, we'll do a group check-in, see how everybody's doing. At 5:30 Eastern, we'll check in with everybody, see how everybody's doing. I'm just going to dance my way around the edges of these sun rays to make it nice and clean. There we go. That looks better. I just had some white little nooks and crannies kind of popping through in some areas, and I'm just fixing those. But I love the simplicity of the sun. Sometimes we don't need more than that to add a little bit of brightness, a little bit of light, a little bit of positivity. And there's so many crazy things going on in the world today. It's exercises and practices like this that just ground us as humans because things can be hard. So I hope that you all are enjoying this today. Sometimes we just need to slow ourselves down, bring a little color. It's kind of like a little sunshine, a little bit of warmth in our day, Janice, right? Vermonters and New Hampshire folks, we've experienced that. It was like a whole 30 degrees the past couple days. It was great. you know, and we're very grateful of our warm temps because it's been really cold and it's surprised us and we didn't like it, you know, it's really surprised us and it has affected our moods, right? And a little bit of warmth, just like a little bit of an inspiring painting can add a lot of really cool stuff. So I have one more little bit and then I'm going to do a little bit of I'm going to try to do a little bit of white outlining. Wish me luck on my text. I have one more little bit right here. Let me just fix this really quick. Little bit of a piece right there. All right. I'm gonna erase my pencil if I can. My text is dry, so I'm gonna erase the pencil lines if I can. I didn't do a very good job of going lightly. Silly me. You don't want to erase your pencil lines around your text until it's super dry. I also am not using a very good pencil. And then I'm gonna do the white outlines. There's also like little black dots in the flowers. You can do like little details there. I didn't go too crazy on the black detail, besides just the outlining. So you can do more if you want. This pencil is really on there. I need to get one of those like old school orange erasers, those pink erasers. Those were serious business. I should buy one of those just in case. Okay, I'm not gonna do any more erasing because I don't want it to smudge. All right, I'm just gonna do a little bit of white outlining just to show you guys what it could look like. Wish me luck. Um, I'm gonna do white paint and I'm gonna add a little water to it so it's just glides a little easier. We need a lot of gliding to happen here. So I'm spinning my brush and I'm gonna I'll do a little bit of like a left side only to start. I think I'm gonna need to do the whole thing, but I'm just gonna do the whole thing. I'm just gonna be courageous here. I really want the text to stand out. Find a brush that works for you. So I do like the white outlining. I'm probably gonna do another coat. I did it all the way around like bubble letters. Just use the smallest brush you have. A white marker would be great. I actually don't own one. I really need to buy one. This is also bringing in a little bit of blue from my plate. I'm just gonna grab a little bit of extra white. Force yourself to go slowly if you're doing any detail work. Extra slow. If you need to touch up any of the black letters, you can always do that after. It's no problem. Spin your brush on your plate so you have a nice fine point. Go back and get a little more paint so you have nice thick coverage.
Okay, thanks, Megan. I gotta run.
Thank you, Terry, so much for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Thank you.
Thank you. If anyone has to run, that's totally fine. I'm just going to do a little bit of this simple outlining, but I'm here to answer any additional questions. I want to thank everybody for being here. This was a super fun and different one tonight, and I hope that you feel a little inspired. It's really fun just to kind of pause and reflect on the work that you've done, and then you'll figure out as yourself, as an artist tonight, if there's anything else you want to add to it or not. I'm going to probably do a second coat of white. I'm not going to do it right now, but I will do a second coat of white paint around the letters so they stand out even more. If anyone has like a white marker, like a nice acrylic ink marker, that would be a really easy way of outlining around these letters. Or you can hand paint it. Having a nice small brush with a nice fine point will allow you to elegantly work your way around each letter. You can always touch up the black if you need to. And if anyone is watching this tutorial, I want to thank you so much for being here. I encourage you to like this video, also subscribe to my channel to get access to additional tutorials. And if you're ever interested in joining our live classes, we have a wonderful Patreon community where we host live events and we do lots of fun things. We have community chats, lots of fun things. So if you're ever interested in joining our community, we would love to meet you and welcome you into our artist community. So thank you so much for your consideration. We'd love to have you join. And it's open to all ages and it's open to all skill levels. So no matter if you've painted before or not, we welcome everyone into our artist community. Because we all have different styles and we all have different skill levels. And all of our classes are very approachable. You can always simplify something if we're doing something different, or if you wanted to take it up a notch, you can always do additional details. And it's incredible to see the work that we do just from a simple inspirational start. Everyone today had different sayings. Everyone had different elements. It was really fun to see. And I thank everybody for sharing your artwork with us. Love seeing your artwork in our classes. Now I am inspired to add a little bit of some white flowers. I'm just going to add like a little 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to add a little touch of little tiny dainty white flowers. 1, 2, 3. And this is just a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just to add a little bit of kind of some fun detail to some of these red stalks. I'm just doing little dots. 1, 2, 3. So that's just another fun little detail. If you wanted to add more things to this picture, you certainly can. That's where you can kind of step away and come back and you can think about it. I feel like there's a lot of different things you could add to this and still keep it very simple. I could do little white dots inside the flowers and the flower heads. And then there was a little bit of a black touch too. So I'll put a little tiny black dot actually on the inside of these two after. Add a dark and a light contrast, which is kind of fun.
Megan, you're going to add the dark and the light in the same flower?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I'll give it a minute to dry. Yeah, I think I'm going to do a little bit of a black dotting on top of the white there. And I'm going to do a second coat of white around my text. And then I really haven't touched my lotus. I could do something pretty cool to my lotus. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but I have a little bit of more black outlining to do here. So I'll do that. And then I'll do a little bit of the black dots inside of the white just to see. Let me find my black here. Yeah, it's all these little details that will like really bring this to life. It's kind of crazy. And then in the inspiration, they also had like little black lines kind of coming through some of these flowers, like a little center. So I could add a little bit of a line. Some of these leaves can have like a little bit of a black line if you wanted to try that. This is a watery black line, so you can like barely see it. Okay. And I'm just going to take a little bit of the black. I'm going to do it on the tip of my brush. And I'm just going to do little tiny black dots on the inside of these white ones. Oh yeah, that looks great. So that's the difference. If you like the way that looks, Janice, it's your choice. But I like it. It's just a little different. And then I can just do little kind of black cross hatches
Hmm.
on the edge. If I want to put it down here, I could just do little kind of black cross hatches coming down onto these petals.
Oh, that's cute.
They had that in the inspiration as well, like little lines coming in. The
Mhm.
thinner the better. So I have a little water and I'm spinning my brush on the side. So you could just do like little lines. Really light hand. And then a little bit of black paint. The inspiration,
Megan, if I were used to like highlight my words like you did with the white,
yeah.
what color do you recommend? My mark or my words are actually that I don't know if you can tell, but they're the dark green of the stems.
That's okay. You can use white to go around them. That will
You
make them
think?
stand out.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yep. I might do a little bit of like, I'm doing doing a little bit of black lines down here. Susan's here. She's multitasking. Susan, I'm doing a little, if you did a lotus on yours, I'm doing a little of these black lines down on the lotus too.
Megan, another question about the white.
Yeah,
The white highlighting. It almost looks like you went right over the black. Did you, or did you truly outline?
I truly went out around it.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really go on top of it at all. I really just stayed right around it. And I'll do a little bit of touch-ups. Has a little bit of a green tinge to it, so it's not bright white, but I will do another bright white and then I'll do any black touch-ups as the last bit. So I'm just doing a little bit of like black kind of lined detail work just to really tie everything together. Maybe a little bit of you could do texture on any of your stems.
How do you do texture? Is that like the crosshatch thing?
Yeah, I'm using this the tip of the black brush and I just
Okay.
did a little bit of like lines in different areas of the stem. So you
Okay.
and I also did a little bit over here. So you could do a little bit of a like a long black line on the inside of the green stem. If you wanted to add like a center fold or outlining the edge of the grass detail. So it's if you just wanted to break up like a large green space, Janice, you can use that black thin black brush since you've outlined it to add in like a little more dimension to the stem itself, if that makes sense.
That does. Thank you.
Or to like these up here, I haven't added anything to. I could just do a little bit of a line here, just adding a little bit of that softness, kind of making it look a little bit more realistic with a little bit of a line through it, like a little bit of that center area. Yeah, but it's fun. This has totally come to life. Again, I didn't know what to expect. I feel like it could use a little bit something more. I don't know what it is, but I love how the flowers came out. I love how the lotus is here. I'm inspired to do something to the edge of the sun. I feel like I could even outline the sun with a little bit of black and maybe it would connect. But I hope that everyone has enjoyed today's class. Um, it's really fun just to kind of be in the moment and pick and choose what elements you want to use, especially when we're using words or mantras. Just incorporating our favorite things and our favorite colors goes a really long way. So, for anyone watching the recording, I want to thank you so much for being here. If there's any questions, please follow up on the comments of the YouTube page or join our Patreon community. It's Painting with Megan. Thank you so much.